Happy Father's Day and happy solstice. And Jesus comes along and he calls him Daddy. Now, isn't that a sweet shift? A shift from Father the feared to Father the loved and embraced. And one of the things I think you can take from that is that if you adopt this close, loving experience of the divine, such that it's not so much something out there, but something embracing and in here, something warm and comforting, something that wants to give you all that you really need and wants you to succeed and wants you to be happy, healthy, and successful like a father. This is what Jesus offered. Let's move the idea of the most powerful thing in the universe, the most pervasive energy in the universe, to be not of a threat, but of support. And that brings us to Father's Day. And essentially, there's God the Father, and we often talk about God the Daddy now with Jesus. Let's talk about daddies and their role in our lives. One of the things that is true these days is often fathers are absent. And so what the child looks to the father for instinctively is to answer three questions. To answer the question, what do you think about me? Or what do you feel about me? Or what are your hopes and dreams for me? And when those questions go unanswered, there's a missing in the child. A chaotic tendency erupts. And fathers that are too much absent have statistically been shown to cause children to do worse in school, to have more chance for addiction, to have more likelihood of depression. But when they're present, it's just the opposite. And so if we can bring our fatherhood to children and to answer those questions, often unspoken by the child, to tell them what we think, to let them know that we care and feel for them, and to hold high hopes for them. Now, one thing that makes it difficult for fathers to be there emotionally, like they would like to be there for their daughters and sons, or even for anyone else, including themselves, is a wounding that happens to men early on. And essentially, the first wounding is this idea, is the rejection of the mother. Now, the mother doesn't necessarily have to reject the child, but because she says, you're not like me, you must separate from me, it can feel like a rejection. And so it really then boils down to the father to do something for the boy, to answer the question, are you enough? Suddenly, as you leave your mother, you have a missing. And the father wound then can be so large when the father doesn't answer the question, am I enough? I think this is our next evolutionary step in fatherhood, is that we don't have to be the perfect person. We don't have to be the man who is successful in all ways, or at least in the ones that we thought of because we didn't have the question answered, are we enough? We don't have to have money, sex, and power to prove that we're worthy. Instead, we must develop this ability to feel our own feelings and to tend to the wound that we have because of the unanswered questions in our lives. To be able to feel into our own hurt enough that we can begin a healing process in our very hearts. And when we do that, I think it will be easier for us to make communication and loving the object of our efforts as a father. And it will bring us closer to our children, which is really, in so many ways, what the child wants from the father. Not so much to be provided for only financially, but to be connected, to be known, seen, to have the father's thoughts about the child. Now, if you take this back to Jesus, So Jesus says that essentially God is not like up there keeping a scorecard on you. Rather, God is in the process of loving you and would love to be in communion with you. Instead, allow it to be a generalized feeling that the universe loves you, that the divine loves you indiscriminately, whether you're succeeding or failing, that you are being hoped and dreamed into the successes of your lives, not just by your own desires, but by the desires of the universe itself. That you are being invited to know that you are loved and accepted at all times. If that becomes the baseline feeling that we cultivate and we allow to grow in ourselves, then I think we will be more courageous, more bold, more gentle, more strong in our defense of what is good, less needing to be aggressive and to show off. If we can pull that off, if we can go to the level of depth of our own healing and to also change our thoughts about the divine, not that it is cold and sterile, but instead that it is profoundly loving and encompassing, just as we have always wanted from our divine parent. Let us adopt this idea that the divine is Daddy. And let us also apply the wisdom of today in knowing how to parent those that we can be fathers to. And let us be kind to ourselves and to others for the wounds they have already. We are here to heal this world and to become all that we have been invited to by our Daddy. Let us step up and do it. With grace and ease, may you find this day beautiful, and may you remember your Father with love and affection. Namaste.